are back here, episode 368 here on Couch Coach Live. Tuesday night under the lights here on Couch Coach Live. What's going on, fellas?
What's up?
What's going on?
Hey, man, nothing much. Another great show on tap for the day on a Tuesday night here. So we'll talk about the Monday Night Football games. We'll talk about the Commanders' loss to the Bears, the Falcons beating the Bills. Your boy Brian Branch, didn't win the game but won the war with his epic matchup with Juju Smith-Schuster. We'll talk about the punch heard around the world. No jersey swaps, but just two pieces. We'll talk about that. We have our first NFL coaching casualty in Brian Callahan. We'll talk about that. Tua, a very cryptic post-game press conference where he pretty much threw some guys under the bus. We'll talk about that more so, like the leadership of the Dolphins. We'll discuss that. And then we got to talk about probably one of the most shocking news stories probably in the last 48 hours of the firing of James Franklin. We'll talk about that and wrap it up with our game ball and final thoughts. So, fellas, let's get to it. This week, man, we got to talk about the Chicago Bears 25-24 win over the Washington Commanders on Monday Night Football, the second leg of the Monday Night Football experience. We had another double dip of Monday Night Football that overlapped with each other, which I think we talked about it last week or 2 weeks ago. We preferred that than having the 7 o'clock matchup and then have one at 10 o'clock, which the 10 o'clock game is OD. But we'll discuss, but no further ado. Let's go around the horn, fellas. What you guys' thoughts on the Commanders-Bears game? I'm going to go with you first, X. What's your thoughts on the game?
I felt like the Commanders pretty much gave that game away. They countless turnovers. When you turn the ball over like that, especially at inopportune times, you gave Chicago chances to score, and especially in the fourth quarter with with under 3 minutes, you fumbled.
3. Yeah.
Jaden Daniels fumbled the handoff. Chicago was able to recover and then walk it off with a field goal. I was kind of shocked because I never really seen Daniels turn the ball over like that. It was like uncharacteristic of him, and I'm not gonna say the lights were too bright because we've seen him shine on plenty of different stages. He shined in the playoffs, but I can't take anything away from the Bears. They got their get back from last season. The defense stepped it up, causing the turnovers, getting the takeaways, pretty much giving them great field position on that final drive before the game winning field goal. And we also got to see a Jake Moody sighting, other than being in San Fran. So I guess he's kind of redeeming himself with the lackluster performances he's been having over the past season and a half.
Yeah.
There's nothing really. I can't really see anything negative coming away from this game, other than, like I said, Washington has to do better at securing the football. Bill, he fumbled last week in a crucial part of the game. And then this week you had Jaden fumbling the ball at the crucial part of the game. So I think they can clean that stuff up. And it's Commanders fall to 3-3?
3-3. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, the season's still young. That division's still wide open. So if I'm Dan Quinn, I'm just preaching ball security and taking care of the football, especially in crucial crunch time.
Yeah. All right. What your thoughts? Your thoughts, Malway?
I feel like no disrespect to the Bears. I feel like the Commanders beat themselves. But I feel like where the Commanders want to go, they got to take games like this and learn from it. Definitely got to protect the ball. But I was watching some things today. They said that basically, Chicago's offense is coming along, but their defense is really keeping them competitive because they've won their last 2 or 3 games or something like that.
But last three.
The last two. I'm just asking.
They last three, I think, because
Yeah.
because they had a bye last week. They won the week before, and then they won. So yeah, I think they've won 3 in a row. I think my memory serves correct. I think it's 3.
So like they're coming along, just like and I was hearing another gentleman say that I think someone that works on their defense is basically they used to practice about doing like holding a player up, stripping the ball, and so they really trying to strive on their defense. I just feel like the Commanders just got to learn from this. They're still young. They're still pulling everything together. I think they're a better team. I really feel like it woulda, coulda, shoulda, and all that. But I think if Jalen Daniels would have got that first down, which went into the handoff where he fumbled, I think we'll have a complete different game. You know what I mean? So I do have a question. I mean, Debo only had 4 receptions for 15 yards, and did he get hurt? Because I didn't get a chance to watch it. Get hurt?
Well, he had like a heel injury, so he was kind of questionable going into the game. So he was pretty much injured, but he was still able to play. So that's not giving him an excuse, but
Right. I mean,
he had mm-hmm.
Okay, well, like I said, it would have been a completely different game if Daniels would have just made that first down. You know what I mean? But they still had opportunities after that to stop Swift. And it just seemed like Swift was like, this is my opportunity to let y'all know I'm back. Like, it's running all over the place. But, hey, man, it's entertainment football. We got a rivalry here, I think,
Yeah, I'm telling you. It's something about Washington playing on Monday Night Football. I'm telling you. It's literally, we have had at home.
Hmm?
It's something about that Monday Night Football games at home where we just cannot win football games. It's so weird and so bizarre. First thing, we got to get rid of those black jerseys. I don't think we should ever wear those black jerseys ever again. I know a lot of people thought about the Hail Mary, but obviously before that, the Bears beat us by 20 points on Thursday Night Football 2 years ago in them black jerseys. So I'm like, now just get rid of them. But in all seriousness, this is where it's like, to me, honestly, 24 hours after the fact, this might be a blessing in disguise, because it's kind of one of the things where turnovers yet again rear its ugly head. They only had 3 turnovers coming into this game. Now imagine, in 5 games, you only turn the ball over 3 times. The same amount that you turned the ball over in 5 games, you had all in 1 game. You were able to recover from those 2. Obviously, the first one was the interception, then and then Bill with the fumble. You were down 13-0. You was able to come back in this game, had full control. Just like you said, that 31, which I know a lot of people. We've been going back and forth as far as Commanders discourse. Why was it like in the shotgun formation at 31 and 39? And we're like, I get that, because I know some other team that's in Kelly Green probably would have pulled off some dumb stuff, some stupid stuff where they could have got that first down and what have you. But that exchange, that fumble exchange, that did them in, because you pretty much, if you would have got that first down, literally the game could have been over. At that point, you could have just ran the ball and just, kill the clock. They probably still would have had opportunity, but you were close enough where you probably would have at least would have got 3, because you had the 39. Because even if they didn't convert on that third down, they probably would have went for it on 4th down. But you still, if you got the first down, you kicking it maybe about a 50-something yard field goal. If you do another set of down. So if you get the ball down another 10, 15 yards, it'd be a chip shot for Matt Gay. But did happen. The fumble happened. And I was like, you talking about Swift, which is crazy to think that the last time that Swift had a 100-yard rush game was in week 8 of last year. So you think to yourself, like, yet again another run defense issue with this Commander team, and like you said, they're in an impasse, and it's one of the things where I'm kind of glad this happened because you're really gonna want to see what this team is all about at 3-3, and now obviously your next two games on the road, going to Dallas next on Sunday, and then you go into Kansas City, another Monday Night Football game on a in 2 weeks, so. We're gonna learn a lot about this team in these next couple of weeks, and this is one of those where a lot of Commander fans are just waving a white flag, which I don't understand. Because it's still early in the season. I mean, but it's just the ebb and flow of the season. Just having got 1 week you look good, the next week you look bad. Like still the same issue with not wrapping up. Obviously, I talked about like those runs with Swift, no wrap up, none of that. Like it's been terrible tackling and execution. It kind of like remind me of the Atlanta game. It kind of even in the first half of that Chargers game too. So a lot to clean up, and I rather have these mistakes in October than in January or February. If you decide if we get that far, but hey, but crazy.
I'm with you. I was like, man, they should have won the game. They beat themselves. Like when you get a chance, get. Yeah. Like I was in Jane, man, get the first down. Don't if you're gonna dive, make sure you dive at the line. He was close. You know what I mean? Could have went any way. But I didn't even think about that, coach, about that first down, 3rd and 1 and first down. I didn't even think about that. Yeah. Anyway, just got to play.
And this, yeah. And the thing that really is going to suck about it, because I honestly think in the back of my mind last night, I was thinking, this is a game that bite them in the ass at the end. Like when it comes to playoff positioning, or if you even get a chance of being in, like that's type, when you lose a game like that, and I definitely think Chicago will be in the mix. Mm-hmm. That's kind of one of those things where that could harm you, and hopefully it don't bite us. But yeah, because those are always the games that you look at and you be like, damn, we could have won this game.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was what we 0-2 against the NFC North. So, so it's gonna be interesting. So, we'll talk about this Falcons game. Falcons won by the final score 24-14. Fellas, your thoughts on the first? I guess you could consider that that was the first Monday Night Football game, essentially of last night. I'm gonna go with you first. Ask your thoughts on the Falcons beating the Bills.
I mean, it was a huge game for Bijan Robinson. We've also witnessed Buffalo, who came in this season, we was looking at as potentially coming out of the AFC, now have lost 2 games in a row, 1 division game, and then last night against Atlanta. I'm seeing injuries starting to pile up on the Bills side, especially on the defensive side, and it kind of got exposed last night. But I don't want to just talk about Buffalo's deficiencies on defense. I got to give a lot of the credit to Atlanta because, man, that they came out looking to run the football, which they did. They exploited the defensive weaknesses of Buffalo. You saw a lot of missed tackles, bad gap discipline, and then you saw 2 careless interceptions by Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I think now we're kind of accustomed to seeing these type of games from Josh Allen and the Bills. I mean, last season you had a couple games like that, but seasons before that, he would have like 4 or 5 game stretches like this. Was just turnover after turnover, losing the game. And I don't want to disrespect Atlanta, but I know I picked Buffalo to win this game because I didn't see them losing 2 in a row. I felt like they needed a bounce back win after falling to New England. But I mean, like I said, I understand having a bunch of injuries on your defensive side of the ball. So, but you got to have the next man up mentality. You got to go out there. You got to make plays. And then if you see that your defense is not getting necessary stops that's needed, then Josh Allen, you got to throw on your Superman cape and be unstoppable. I mean, if you know this is going to be score for score, you can't afford to turn the ball over or kicking field goals. You got to get touchdowns. What they went down, 21-0?
21-7.
21-7. Yeah. And it's like once Bijan broke that run of 81, it kind of just like took the win out of Buffalo. So like I said from the previous topic, I mean, I feel like Buffalo can get things back on track. But I like this for Atlanta because now people will start taking them more serious as being viable threats in their division and in the NFC.
Yeah. All right. What you got, Maui?
I'm grinning on purpose because I actually picked the Pats to win the division, if y'all not mistaken. And it was a young man when we had the preview, and I was telling him, I said, man, I feel like the Pats was going to be a physical team, and I'm just excited that one of my predictions was right. I even had Atlanta win in their division, but the Bucks is doing so well. But man, I've always been. I think Josh Allen is great and he's good, but I just never been that big of a fan. And man, he was 15 for 26, 180 yards, 2 TDs, 2 interceptions. And I think he ran for like 60 yards or something like that. But man, it ain't looking too good. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. They haven't scored over 20 points in 2 games. You know what I mean? And the coaching staff look lost, like they don't really know what to do. But I'm a Michael. I mean, I don't want to mess the name up. Let's say Penix Jr. 20 for 32, 250 yards, 1 TD. London 10 receptions, 158 yards, 1 TD. They balled, man. Like I think Atlanta trying to put it together. That's really all I can say. Like I'm just sitting here like I was when I was out, that fumble that everybody was like, oh man, they fumbled on the first play, and then come to find out it was an offsides. Like, but I don't know, man. Like I always felt like the Bills was just capping. They not as what they are. Maybe they already hit their ceiling. But that's my take on it. And the running back, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, I think with the situation, the Falcons, I'm really proud of kind of their effort. Obviously, if we were sitting here 3 weeks ago and like you think to yourself, man, this team got beat by the Panthers 30-0. Everybody wanted to fire Raheem Morris, and I think we talked about them firing Ike Hiller, and it was like, what's that's going to make a difference? The wide receiver coach, and then they elevated our guy TJ Yates, UNC, to his position. So now, fast forward, obviously having those wins against Washington, then coming off of a bye week, and then coming and winning this game. I know a lot of people look at this score. What was it, 24-14? But this game wasn't even nowhere near close. Like obviously, and as quiet as kept, this game, this score could have got larger because obviously, if you remember that final play going to halftime where Penix threw it to Drake London and he stepped out of bounds at the 1 or I think the 1 yard line, or whatever. So this could have been a 28-7 game at halftime. Like they really could have blew the doors open for this game. But like I said, just more so the credit now of just everybody. Everything's kind of coming together. I was like, you talked about BJ Robinson, what he did. That was definitely phenomenal what he did this week. And then just the simple fact of, just this Falcons defense is finally coming together. It's another one team that we looked at, was potentially going to be their weakest link was their defense. We knew their offense would probably be pretty good, but defense was going to be somewhat of a struggle. But but kudos to Atlanta. And now they're trying to kind of keep pace with that Tampa Bay team, where this is another one quiet as kept. Their boy, if young, I'm going to say his name for real, but Young Wei, I'm scared to say how it's. I was going to say how it sound, but I mean how it look. But Young Wei, that miss against Tampa Bay, this is a different team. This is a different turn. Like this is just a different way. But kudos to Atlanta. Got the job done on Monday Night Football and beat a quality opponent in Atlanta. I mean, in the Buffalo Bills. So, but the Bills, I think they'll be fine. Just like you said, just 2 straight weeks, they gonna get themselves together. It's just one of those where it's just a bump in the road, but they'll get themselves straight. This is just another bad day at the office for them, but I think they'll be fine.
Yeah, but I feel like if by chance Buffalo loses this week, then I'll say hit the panic button.
Yeah, three in a row. Yes. Yeah. So we'll talk about a team that lost 3 in a row later on tonight.
Who they play next?
Who do Buffalo play? Ash. Where's Ash?
Listen to me now.
All right. Buffalo. They go to. Oh no, they got a bye week. So they're on the bye, and they play Carolina next on the 26th. So they got a bye week.
Okay.
If they go to Charlotte and lose,
I mean,
2 weeks from tonight, we might panic.
I mean, but Carolina has beaten some quality teams, so I mean, probably at the beginning of the season, you will look at Carolina and be like, "Oh, that's a win." But now,
it's not.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
And if you do beat them, you're gonna have to beat them. They're not gonna stop. You're gonna have to beat them from start to finish.
They're building it. They're stronger and wider. Like, and I was trying to tell the young man that was on the show. I said, "Yo, do you have anybody else? But if they could contain Josh, like, what are y'all gonna do? Do y'all have a running back or a receiver that just can take the game over?" Like, he said he was happy they didn't have, no star receiver or running back. And I was like, every once in a while, you got to have one.
It's about committed with them. Like, obviously, you can have a moment where you have James Cook can do his thing, but then you also got Shakir, wide receiver. You also got Keon Coleman, which Keon Coleman looked amazing in that Ravens game. But, so it's like about committed. And obviously, I think, I wouldn't say it's an upgrade from when they had Diggs, but obviously we know Diggs kind of come with baggage. So I kind of see where they kind of came with that. But like you would say, but I think if they have obviously 2 straight losses and then having a bye week, this is where you should definitely see Buffalo's best football up until this point, as far as coming fresh off of a bye. And it's gonna be a tough out. I mean, every team is a tough out, but Carolina's a tough out as well. But it's another one where they stay down south, in Carolina. So it would be cause for concern, because at that time they would be 4-3, and and they probably could bury themselves somewhat in the AFC East if obviously, because the Women are gonna win. Sunday for sure. For sure. Like, you can bet anything that they're gonna win on Sunday.
Yeah, but see, that's the bonus about being in the AFC East. It's a 2-team race.
Yeah.
We not worrying about the Jets. We not worrying about the Dolphins.
No,
They got
they
their
too
own
far
issue.
gone.
Yeah, each team got their own set of issues that they got to deal with. Well, that they dealing with.
Yeah. And they bear it already. Like you said, you don't want to be a part of that where, like you said, you fall to 4-3, and you got New England coming up because I don't know who they're gonna play in week 8, but this Sunday, guaranteed W.
Who New England
The Tennessee Titans,
Hmm.
which we'll talk about. We'll talk about them as the show progresses tonight. So yeah, so Faber goes back to Tennessee, and it's going to be ugly. But we'll discuss that as the night progresses for sure. But yeah. So we gotta talk about, and we're not necessarily. I guess we kind of go into it. So we're gonna talk about the Brian Branch suspension, which he has been suspended for one game due to a post-game interaction with Juju Smith-Schuster. We don't have a video, but we do have a still image of the altercation that ensued. So we're going to show that on the screen momentarily. Oh, not a video file. So me come on. Let's see a screen. There we go. All right, and we got this here. We're gonna share it if everybody can see it. It should be coming up momentarily. There we go. So this is the image. Obviously, we know X guys didn't get the win against the Kansas City Chiefs on Sunday Night Football, but like we always say in football terms, you may not win the game, but at least win the fight. And the Detroit Lions won the fight. Obviously, this is a post-game situation, pretty much play-by-play. Brian Branch goes up to Mahomes, try to give him dap. He's like, look, I ain't trying to do all that. Then he goes and get Juju, and he delivers a 2-piece and a biscuit with no sides to the point where Juju Smith-Schuster is on the floor. You see him go to the locker room, bloodied nose and all. It was a very interesting. Obviously, Brian Branch did apologize for it, and I did love how Dan Campbell said, "Hey, I love this. I love the guy, but this was this wasn't something he condoned. But I just love the fact that hey, he didn't because he could have went multiple ways with it. So, X, what you thought on your boy Brian Branch getting suspended for one game, which he is appealing as well. So we're waiting on the kind of results of the appeals. What you got, X?
I mean, I had a feeling the suspension was coming down just because it was post game. If this would have happened during the game, probably would have been. Oh, well, I'm not gonna say probably. He would have been ejected, and a nice size fine would have been FedEx to his locker. But with it happening post game, I understand the suspension, and I'm pretty sure Dan Campbell got into him in the locker room, told him that we can't have this, because honestly we need you on the field. Yeah. Like in my opinion, I feel like Joseph and Branch may be one of the best safety duos in the league as far as interceptions. They fly to the football, especially Branch. I mean, I know they've taken, I don't want to call him a head hunter, but you have to have your head on the swivel when he's around football. So I understand I understand the appeal. I'm hoping as a fan that he can win the appeal, but the likelihood of him winning the appeal is slim to none. I saw a video of they showed a block in the back that Juju did on Brian Branch, I guess before that. And honestly, BB is one of those players that he don't, excuse my French, he don't take no shit. So, and he's also been ejected from game. I remember he was ejected from the Packers game last season. Um, he gave the birds to the to the fans as he was leaving the field. So, like I said, Brian Branch is one of those players that don't really take too much from anybody from the opposite team. And we all know, especially you, Maui, how Juju is. Um,
Yeah, X, don't be speaking for me, man. I was messing.
from back in the day when he was in Pittsburgh with the pregame antics of dancing on the opposite team's logo in the middle of the field to doing what was it? I don't even think TikTok was out back then, but he was doing videos
on TikToks.
And then like and then another thing which I was surprised to see was a lot of it wasn't players, but a lot of like people that follow the game, like fans and everything, was like it was about time Juju got punched in the face or punched in the mouth. So I mean, like I said, I don't know Juju other than what I see on the field and when he used to do those videos and stuff before the game. And I can see why players want to may put the fisticuffs on him from time to time because he got a punchable face. Let's just be for real. As a fan of the Lions, I'm not upset at Brian Branch. I'm somewhat disappointed just because in that instance, if I was him, I just would have left the field. I understand, like it's sportsmanship after the game. Everybody meets in the middle of the field, dap up, shake hands, exchange jerseys, and have little brief combos and stuff like that. But if you know you're not in the right headspace at that moment after taking a tough loss, just steer from everybody and just go straight to the locker room. Yeah. But then again, maybe he was and from what it looked like, he was in the middle of the field, so he probably had a ways to go to get to the locker room. So, I mean, some people don't like to lose. Well, I'm not gonna say a lot of people don't like to lose, and like I said, I like the passion, I like the fight, but sometimes you gotta just pick and choose. I'd rather for Branch do this in the game because in the game the punishment, like I feel like he would have been ejected and then fined and then been good to play next week. But like I said, with it happening post game, yes, the suspension is going to come down. And like I said, I don't see the league allowing him to win the appeal.
Yeah. All right. What you got, Mal? Your thoughts?
So I was going to go a certain way, so I'm going to go this way. I feel like we know about the suspension, but once you do the investigation, even though the Lions player went up and hit Juju, I think Juju should be the one suspended and they should fine the other gentleman because even though the gentleman, he should be fined for it, I feel like Juju pushing forward and making it being so chaotic the way he did, I think that was worse than him and getting hit. Am I stretching? Am I tripping? Well, bottom line, I'm only saying because I want to got a lot of stuff to blame on Juju. That's why they stole your bike. Y'all remember that?
Yeah.
That's why, all those different things. He's the reason why my AB left. I'm just, I can't stand Juju. You don't understand. I understand X why your player than him. And I think quietly he is a kind of a dirty player on the low. He'll blindside you on the low. But I just remember my little brother got suspended and it was because it was nothing crazy. A kid said something to him, and then he said something back. But the whole lunchroom heard it, and it almost got chaotic. And even though Brian hit him, I think Juju he could have retaliated. He has a right to retaliate, but I think he went so far that it started something bigger than what it was, and luckily nobody got hurt. So I do think, if anything, Juju also should get in some type of trouble.
Yeah, this one of those where, like, I think Brian Branch should have, like you said, cooler heads could have prevailed. Like if he would have actually did this in a game, he would have just got ejected. I don't think he would have got suspended for the next day, a la of Jalen Carter's situation in week 1, where he did a situation with Dak, and then he just got suspended for that game. Because it's pretty much time served. And I think that's where it comes here too. And I know Brian Branch talked about, as far as him being targeted and what have you, and this and third. He talked about that in the locker room and all that, this and the third. But like you said, because cooler heads got to prevail. Because it's kind of one of the things where, we say it in a jokingly manner, but if this was a game that high stakes, if this is a playoff game, you advance to the next round, he's not gonna be there for the next round. Just an example. Like, say for instance, this was a wild card game, he would play in a divisional game or whatever. Like, so it's one of the things where, and I know it's tough to kind of have that type of emotions, like to turn it on and turn it off, because obviously you're playing a sport in football where it's physical nature from start to finish. So it's not like it's almost like, how can I say? It's almost like you're speeding and then you're trying to do like a quick break. Like you can't do that in this sport. Like it is a cool down period. But I do understand, kind of like you said, Juju's not. He's an individual where, like you said, he could definitely be someone that could be an instigator, somebody that you really would want to like sucker punch. Like he would be somebody like if you seen him like in an alley and there's no consequences. Yeah, Brian Branch probably would have gave more than just a 2-piece and a biscuit. He would have gave him more than that. So it's just one of those where it's just know the room. And I get that he will want to do that, but if you see him out and about somewhere, just make sure it's no surveillance camera, so you won't get no assault charge. But yeah, it's crazy. But but I think suspension gonna stick for sure. I think it's gonna stick.
Yeah,
I don't think they're gonna appeal. Yeah, I don't think they're gonna appeal. Like because if he would have got multiple games, then he probably could have won his appeal. But yeah, they gonna give him that that week, and of course, like you said, that game check gone, dog.
All right.
But,
Real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody, they were saying also, I saw something today. They were saying also they were like antagonizing him, like not just Juju, but also
Mahomes. Oh yeah,
Mahomes. Yeah,
he did.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, because he did the thing, the twirl, like when he ran in, he did the twirl and did this, because that's supposed to be a taunting play. So because this where it goes back, I want that to go back, but that was kind of the emphasis going into the regular season was, hey, we're gonna cut down on the taunting plays, and we're gonna be really, really enforceful when it comes to that type of infraction. So that's why I find it so odd that interaction did not negate a flag.
It's Kansas City, in Kansas City,
right? And that's what. Yep, and we're gonna lose. Yeah, we're gonna lose to that.
So I mean, and then you got other people talking about. And I mean, we're gonna put it on the table. Let's put it on the table. Then you got other people talking about. I'm not saying no names, but someone in the podcast world, talking about every time the Chiefs do something like win, is always the fans or whatnot blame the refs. I mean, because you can clearly see it's some things that the refs call or don't call that kind of change the game.
Shapes it. Yeah, it shapes it.
So
like that one.
I mean,
that was a huge play. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that touchdown put them up 10.
That was a kind of like the go ahead one in a sense, right? I mean that was like the go ahead touchdown, wasn't it?
But
My memory serves correct.
it was a lot of fluky things in that game, from our first touchdown being called back.
Yeah, that's another one.
Oh,
Yep, that
yeah.
was another one. Yeah, so
I picked the Chiefs to win because they were not going to let them lose back to on. And the refs do be helping them. But guess what happened when they played Jacksonville Jaguar? Look at the stats and look at the penalty yards. I think in the last probably 8 minutes, I could be wrong, but in the fourth quarter, they called a lot of flags on them because they usually don't call it. They do it every time. They've been doing it for years.
They called 0 on Kansas City Sunday night.
There you go.
yeah,
Like, so you telling me a team plays a clean game?
yeah,
No, come on now. Look,
exactly.
like,
That's what happens when you do that. When you don't be fair, that's what's going to happen. A player or something's going to, and it's going to get crazy. It's in every sport. When people really, because sports are emotional. So when you know for a fact that they're cheating and they're not doing, what do you think these players are going to do? What do you think fans are going to do?
like I said, Pat Mahomes walked up to him, tried to shake his hand. He didn't shake his hand. He brushed you off, and he kept walking away.
Yep.
But then
He went and found Juju and was like,
Care about Juju. They already know.
it was so funny because that was just not expected. Like, it was so funny because just like in the post game, you're like, all right, you just seeing a bunch of dudes just like coming together. And like, all of a sudden, I'm like, yo, is Juju on the floor? Like, is Pacheco trying to hold this man for dear life? Like, what in the world? Like,
but in that picture that you showed, there was a lot of red jerseys around, and
yeah,
and Brian Branch walked out there with no
Yeah.
scratches or nothing.
right.
So, I mean, that kind of
That's
let you
telling.
know. So, yeah,
That's telling. That's telling. Because
Now,
if you would have did it to Mahomes,
Right.
he'd have been a level 1 trauma unit in Missouri.
and suspended for the rest of the season.
Hello.
And he was young, they would have stuck them. That wouldn't have never happened. But he's been in the league. He's a veteran now, and he's having a reputation. You know what I mean? It got to the point where he had to calm down all that weird stuff that he was kind of doing. You know what I mean? The Patriots got rid of him. The Kansas City is keeping him. You know what I mean? But
He kind of gets that. He gets the same treatment that Rudy Gobert gets in the NBA.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's a great analogy. That is exactly.
Yeah.
They stole his bike.
Yep. But crazy. So we'll wrap up our final. Well, it ain't final NFL topic, but we got actually 2 more, surprisingly. So we gotta talk about this Brian Callahan situation. Like I teased in the opening on the show. Essentially, we have our first coaching casualty. Honestly, we're not surprised, but we do at this point. With Brian Callahan, was fired from the Tennessee Titans. In his 1 year and some change, he was 4-19 in his tenure with the Tennessee Titans. As we had mentioned, that the Tennessee Titans team will face Mike Vrabel, a guy who they just fired nearly not even 2 years ago. Guys, let's go around the horn. You guys thoughts on Brian Callahan being fired from Tennessee Titans? I'll go to you first, X. What you got?
I mean, the inevitable was coming. I mean, overall record in the somewhat 2-year job. He's been there 4-19.
One and some change. Yeah, one and change.
Yeah.
Because he didn't make half.
He played all right, so he coached 23 games. He was 4-19. He started this season 1-5. Last season, Will Levis was his quarterback.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, and then you get the number 1 pick. You draft Cam Ward. this is what I don't like is you have to, when you draft a quarterback with the first pick in the draft, you can't expect them to just automatically turn your team into a winning franchise overnight. I mean, granted, we've seen it happen before, but it's the likelihood of it happening is like slim to none. So, I mean, I'm not gonna say they didn't give him a fair shake, but I felt like I would have gave him, and I would at least gave him until what? End of the, I at least would let him finish the season. You already 1-5. You're not making the playoffs. I just will at least let him finish the season to see if he could have strung along maybe a couple more wins like that, just to see how Cam Ward would progress under his tutelage. But then also it didn't help that Cam Ward the other week said the team was ass. So that probably played a big huge factor into it. Other than that, I didn't hear of anything like any locker room issues, but I could be wrong. Like I said, but when you're in a rebuild, when you're in rebuild mode, I feel like you got to give the coach just a little longer leash. Because like I said, if you're in rebuild mode, the rebuild normally takes 2-3 years, and I'm gonna use Detroit as an example. When we hired Dan Campbell, we were in rebuild mode. We traded Stafford for Goff, and our first season under Dan Campbell, we went 3-13-1. The next season, we went 9-8, missed the playoffs because
Green Bay got in.
no, we kept Green Bay out.
Green Bay out. That's right. Y'all got Green Bay out. Yeah.
The Rams lost, and whoever they were playing got into the playoffs. Was it the Seahawks? No, it wasn't the Seahawks.
It was that was the first year at the post Russ, right? I think it was them, or was it San Francisco? No, San Francisco had already clinched theirs.
Yeah.
Because it was Seattle because Seattle played San Francisco.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So like
in a wild card.
So like I said, like I said, I'm using Detroit as an example. Our rebuild, Dan Campbell's first season, 3-13-1. He follows that up. Mind you, when he followed up the next season, he started off 1-6. Now, if Brad Holmes and the higher ups in Detroit didn't have the patience with Dan Campbell technically should have been fired after the 1-6 start. But then things started to change. You started to see a difference. You started to see the team fight more, not on the field, but like actually fight in the game to win. They showed that they had what it takes to be a good team. And as you saw it as the season went on, like I said, they started off 1-6. His second season ended the season 1-6. They finished the season 8-2. Boom. Year 3, 12-5. Won a playoff game for the first time in 30 years. A home playoff game at that, and you won a division. Went on, you beat the Rams in the wild card. You beat Tampa Bay in division. You had a 17-point lead going into halftime in the NFC Championship game against San Fran, and then you blew it. So, but then that was year 3. Year 4, you go 15-2, number 1 in the NFC, win the division again. So, like I said, if you're rebuilding, it takes time. and you have to have the patience. And like Coach, you know where I'm coming from because you went through the rebuild, but your rebuild process was faster than ours. It kind of happened within a season. So,
Yeah.
that's my take on it.
Let me go ahead, Coach.
All right.
I can't wait.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is what I'm saying. And you give respect to your team. Don't you dare try to compare them to the Titans. You
Well,
understand?
I'll make a correlation though. I will make a correlation. For
I
sure.
know what you're saying, but respect
Yeah.
both of y'all. Respect our squads. They ought to be ashamed of themselves. A couple years ago, me and Coach was talking about they fight. Get rid of. They got a new GM and a new president or something like that, and they got rid of Babel. What his name is?
Mike Vrabel. Yeah.
Yeah, they said that they didn't like his approach on things. So then the stuff I saw today is more or less they just hired a new GM. That's why they fired this coach. He made those drive picks. He was with the Kansas City Chiefs, so they looking at him like, what could you do to help us? Well, we got to get rid of this coach because he. But then I think conspiracy. I think when what's the name left, I feel like what's the name was going there anyway. He was going to the Patriots, but that's not important. What I'm saying is, with your team, who's your biggest superstar on your team?
Me?
Yeah.
Superstar.
Right, I'll tell you. I said superstar. I ain't talking about player. It's your coach. When did y'all go on Hard Knocks? I didn't even know who he was until
Since we went on Hard Knocks his second season, the second season, the year we went 9-8.
right. And coach said, "Man, I really like Dan Campbell, and blah blah blah." And ever since then, y'all skyrocketed. That because he's trending. People like him. It makes people want to watch the Lions. He's not a dirty person. Then y'all start making trades. So y'all one of them teams, and you had to prove it on the field. I'm watching this, and I'm like, they've been having GM and coach issues and even quarterback issues for the longest, right? I think the best thing they had was basically Henry. Once they did not re-sign Henry, we was like, okay, something is going on in Tennessee. It just is. So maybe they got this new Mike Borgonzi? Did I say it right?
Yeah, I think that's what how you pronounce it. Yeah.
He got hired January of 2025. And they interviewed Brian Callahan, and in his own way, he was like, I got to do better. So he already in some type of way probably knew he was out. So now I guess the question is to figure out who's going to come in. And I'm hoping they get a good coordinator that will help Cam. You know what I mean? To help him develop. You know what I'm saying? And that, I mean, it's the organization. I stopped listening to all these facts and stuff because I was like, oh man, it's the organization. It's they don't know how to rebuild. They don't want to be patient. You know what I mean? And it seemed like it's the ownership. It ain't the GMs. It ain't the coaches. It's the ownership. They just don't this guy said today. To get a license is two things you have to do. It's a written, and then you go get. You got to drive. Well, to own a football team, he said all you really need is it's relationships and have the money. You know what I mean? You can just do whatever. So it's just that's the more we keep saying. We had these conversations because these organizations they're not putting the right people in place. Maybe Tennessee has the right person now. Maybe this guy that came from Kansas City that had been there, I think, been in Kansas City, I think since I don't know about 16 years. I think it said he was there for a minute. Maybe he's going to come in and get them in the right path by drafting a quarterback. Wasn't it for the longest Tennessee needed a quarterback?
Yeah, even dated back to Ryan Tannehill. Yeah.
Yeah, so they got a quarterback, number one draft pick. Everybody said he was better than Shador. That's why I thought Shador was going. Because his father kept saying, we need to go someplace hot. We need to blah, 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 So I was thinking it was going to be something like that. But bottom line, what Maui is saying, it's the organization. All these guys that got fired, at least they got it on their resume. You know what I mean? So I'm sure this guy, Brian's probably going to get a job somewhere. His biggest his biggest thing was he was a offensive coordinator for the Bengals,
Yeah.
and they went to the Super Bowl. You know, well, Brian, there's opportunities back there.
Yeah, and like you said, like we always have stresses on this show. The key to having a successful organization is having a general manager and a coach
Yeah.
lock and step. They're connected at the hip. We talked about San Francisco. What made them successful was what they did was they hired John Lynch and Cal Shanahan at the same time.
Right.
Got 6-year deals together. They linked together.
Right.
Same thing, like you talk about why Washington's successful, because what they did it right for the first time in 25 years. Well, since Snyder on the team, he's never done that. So now getting Josh Harris, getting an action owner that does it the right way. You hire Adam Peters. Adam Peters is the person who selects a coach. He selected Dan Quinn, and like you said, that when you have those type of things happening, you can't fire Rand Carthon and then don't fire the coach that he hired, because that's who he hired. So that's the issue. Like they should have went together. And I know like it ain't fair for them to just get rid of a guy after the first year, but I mean, hell, you're firing the guy before Halloween of his second year. So you damn near you should have saved him for another 7 more weeks. At this point, at this point, you fired them not even halfway through the season. You trade them 3 for the trade deadline, which is crazy. Like that's using the mid-time of the season in a sense. But yeah, they gonna have to, like they said. So this will be an opportunity for the new GM to bring in his guy, and then what has to happen with that one? Amy has to essentially say, hey, you guys are connected to him. Mike, this is your hire. I don't know how the contract will work, but if I get this person, y'all are together. If he screws up, you're out the door too, and then it's going to be the same cycle, because that's what happened. Like what happened with Arizona. Because remember, they let the GM essentially draft Josh Rosen 1 year and then draft Kyler Murray the next, and it's just like, come on, like what we can't be doing stuff like that. Like, then firing their coach at the time and then hiring who in the Cliff. Yeah, how I forget that. You fire one guy, then you bring in Cliff, and then you fire Cliff, and it's just like so it's just one of those things where, like I said, they should have just fired him last year, like what they did with Rand Carthon, and then you start off new, let this new GM hire who he wanted this year, and then you would have got further on. But I'm so, you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if my guy goes there, Cliff Kingsbury. I think that could be a beeline for him, even though I know there's only one coaching vacancy thus far, and I guarantee more other spots are probably more attractive. But as of October 14th, I definitely see Cliff going to Tennessee, because I definitely think he's going to take that leap this year. I don't think he's going to be back for a third year, in my personal opinion, in Washington for sure.
What do you think about McCarthy?
Huh?
What do you think about McCarthy?
You talk about the old Cowboys coach?
Yeah.
I wouldn't. I think I would go younger.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Cliff would be perfect, and definitely because he can sell the fact that, hey, look what I did with Jay Daniels. I could do that potentially with Cam Ward. So,
oh, that's great. That's great. What you just said, and it's funny too, X. You said, "Well, I ain't heard nothing about the locker room and this, and that." So now you see why Cam was like, "Man, this team sucks." And you know what's funny, when I saw Callahan talk, earlier in the year, when the guy, he was you could tell he was kind of like, yeah, I got to do better, because I'm like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I got myself in this situation. I'll probably let go. You know what I mean? But it's going to be interesting who they get. I hope they get some, like, let's say if they get like Brian Flores or something like that. I just hope that he be able to get some type of, quarterback, or just some type of offensive guy that can work with Cam. You know what I mean?
See, like
Yeah.
if Tennessee go out and get Brian Flores, you already know the team is going to be disciplined because he's gonna coach discipline.
True. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I'm hoping Cliff get. Well, I ain't saying I'm hoping, but I think Cliff probably could get that job.
I mean, yeah,
Possibly.
I'm with you. I mean, look at what's going on with
Yeah.
Jackson. If that's the case, he did that with Jalen Daniels, then of course, that's what I'll be looking for. And like I said, this gentleman comes from the Chiefs, and sometimes that's what he probably. But I just feel like some ownership, and it's in everything too, like store managers, anything you go, it's always if they don't know what they're doing, they'll just let somebody come in and run them, and you know what I mean, tell them certain stuff, and it might not be what it is because they got control of the situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's just and what like I said, I just don't understand this whole everybody trying to reinvent the wheel, and it's just been a proven track record of what to do, and people ignore the concept, and that's the thing where but you know, most successful teams do it the way that we discussed. All the teams that we kind of use an example for have been successful, have been to the NFC Championship game, this decade. So we use Detroit as an example, San Francisco, and then Washington as an example.
Right.
Yeah, that's the only way I think, the only conceivable way of all this can work. They got to be locked in step with each other. Because at the end of the day, like see what's going on in Cleveland, where you have a coach that had different opinions to Andrew Berry, the GM. So, like where one is not committal to who's going to be the backup quarterback. We found out the day of that who's going to be QB2, which was the obvious sense, but what's the point of that? Like. But obviously we know that's an Andrew Berry pick, with that. So it's just like, and that's another thing where if you're in lockstep, you're not going to draft two quarterbacks within a 24-hour period. You draft somebody on a Friday night, and then you draft another guy, 1:30 in the afternoon the following day. That's not a lockstep move. Like it's not. Like no one in their right mind is going to do the same thing in the same position at that like that. But it just goes to show you, like, the two got to be together. You got to be connected to help. Like,
Right.
hey, if it's like a jury deliberation, we got to come out either guilty or non-guilty. All 12 of us got to say. All 12 of us got to be in lockstep. Say this person either guilty or not guilty. All of us got to come together all as a group and determine that.
Do you even know who the ownership of the Titans is? Because usually teams like that, like the owner kind of stays out the way. But
yes, I don't know. Her name is like Amy Shrunk. She's actually Bud Adams' daughter. Remember Bud Adams, the old Titans? Well, he was on it. He passed away, but remember he was the one with the prisoners that run the asylum. Remember, we might have been on the show when he made that comment, because it was right probably in the aftermath of the Colin Kaepernick thing. So so he had passed away. So his daughter is taking over. His daughter is taking over the team. I think her name is Shrunk. I think that's her married name, but her maiden name obviously is Adams. But yeah,
did she just get ownership like in the last 10 years?
Yeah. She just got it. Maybe what? 2? Okay. It won't this year, so it might have been 2024, I think. I think it was either 2024 or 2023. It's been recent. It's very recent.
The reason that's what I'm saying. He had hired a new GM, and then she fired the coach, and it was weird. And they didn't, like I said, and they did not resign Henry. And it was they wanted to do something different, and they were saying they did not like how I don't want to mess his name up. The Patriots coach now.
Mike Vrabel.
Vrabel. She didn't like. I think they were saying that how his approach to certain things. Supposedly allegedly she didn't like that. You know what I mean? So that's why she wanted things to be a little more smoother. Which if a dude is kind of an alpha male, blah, 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 and talking a certain way, some people can feel uncomfortable. You know what I mean? And you got to be able to sometimes speak. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? And we had this conversation about it. Me and him was tripping like, oh, wow. Because he actually was doing okay. You know what I mean? They were still competing, even though they might not have been winning, But anyway, it is what it is.
Yeah, it's shrunk. Yeah, Amy Adams shrunk. So yeah, she because she had like what they call like a third controlling like she had like a third of the team, and then her siblings gave her the mantle. So she's literally like the front face person. And I don't know when it happened, but I don't think she. I don't. So I think she was a part of. She wasn't a part of the hiring of Rand Carthon. I don't think. No, yeah, absolutely, yeah, because he's the one that fired Mike Vrabel. That's right. Yeah, that's what. I think about it because I'm like, how long? Because in my mind, all these years come together. Because I'm like, well, okay, he got fired, but but that's right. Because Vrabel got fired in early 2024. So yeah, because it's his first year here, and because he took a year off,
right?
And now he's back with New England, where he back coaching.
They said he was an analyst or something for the Browns.
You know what I mean? He was just hanging around with the Browns, last year with Kevin Stefanski and them.
He was going to the Pats. I just had that feeling.
Yeah, once they got rid of Gerard Mayo, for sure.
Right.
But yeah, so let's talk about Tua Tagovailoa, man. Like we talked about the abyss that is the AFC East. So obviously they had a game against the San Diego, Lord, the Los Angeles Chargers. So this was Tua Tagovailoa on the mic following Sunday's game against the LA Chargers. So let's roll this beautiful beam footage, and once again, fair use.
Well, I think it starts with the leadership in helping articulate that for the guys, and then what we're expecting out of the guys, right? We're expecting this. Are we getting that? Are we not getting that? We have guys showing up to player-only meetings late, guys not showing up to player-only meetings. Like, there's a lot that goes into that. Do we have to make this mandatory? Do we not have to make this mandatory? So it's a lot of things of that nature that we got to get cleaned up, and it starts with the little things like that.
To be clear, you're saying some players were late or missed?
Late, yeah.
Yep. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks.
Oh, he was coached by Nick Saban. Oh Lord. Anyway, now we'll say that for later. Wow. So X, what's your thoughts on this 41 seconds of audio beam footage, beautiful beam footage that we've seen on Tua?
It's not a good look. It's not a good look for Tua. Especially for Mike McDaniel, is not a good look because he called out leadership, and he pretty much was calling out the coach without saying his name or saying the coach. He said leadership. So if the quarterback is talking about the leadership, he's talking about the coach. So, like I said, it's not a good look. I don't know what's going on in Miami. It's just like a cesspool right now. Starting with the Tyreek situation. And then what I found interesting was that, I don't know how true it is, but Tua called out players for either being late or missing player only meetings. But to find out that he was late to a players only meeting. So, like I said, I don't know what's going on down there in South Beach, because it's starting to get ugly. And Mike McDaniel probably is going to be the second head coach to lose his job at some point within the next couple weeks. As far as like I said, I understand Tua being frustrated with how the season is going and everything like that, but man, you can't throw your team or the coaches under the bus like that. Sometimes you just gonna have to take ownership and just take the blame yourself, because you are pretty much, you're the coach on the field. You're an extension of Mike McDaniel on the field. So you got to take responsibility too. And it's kind of like he was deflecting his shortcomings and deficiencies and responsibilities and putting it on everyone else. So, I mean, I know the guys in the locker room didn't like it. I know the coaches didn't like it. It's going to be an interesting couple weeks for these Miami Dolphins coming up. Not just as far as the teams they got to play. I'm talking about as far as how many more games, like I said, will Mike McDaniel's last, and also going into the offseason, is Tua going to be part of the Miami Dolphins? And if not, is go ahead and just start trying to shop them, get ready to go into rebuild mode.
Yep. All right. What you got, Mal? Your thoughts?
I feel like he was talking about both. I feel like he, he seemed like really nice dude. So he kind of like throwing them under the bus to say, I need your support. But like I said, he was late too. So it just seemed like they're asking him questions. They're losing. They're putting everything down. Like, man, and that's in some type of way saying we all just need to be a little more disciplined. But I feel like he's throwing everybody under the bus because, again, like the last conversation, the GM's been there since 2016. Brian Flores didn't want Tua when he was there. The GM is the one that picked Tua. So Tua is his guy. You know what I mean? So and that's what's the same conversation. He should not have done it, but it looks like to me the GM might respect Tua just a little bit more than he respect Mike McDaniels the coach or anybody else, because they even paid Tua. You know what I mean? And that's really all I could say, because it just seemed like to me, in some type of way, Tua's getting what he wants. Regardless the coach or whatever, it seemed like that's the GM, that's his boy. You know what I mean? That's his investment, and that's what he was trying to ride with. Clearly, we know, the coach is most likely, bottom line, coach is most likely probably going to lose his job. But they've been undisciplined for a very, very long time. Like, Tyreek Hill and whatever else, has happened. And Tyreek was all over the place. You know what I mean? But that's really my take on it. Like, if they was winning, this probably wouldn't be a problem. But they're losing. They pointing the fingers at each other. They just trying to find an answer.
Now, what if the next game Tua goes out and throws 3 interceptions?
Right.
And another player just calls him out. So I feel like it's going to happen. And I think they just patiently waiting because they know one of those games is going to happen, and then
and we're going to get our answer to see what happens after that.
Yeah,
absolutely, it's definitely going to happen, and the thing is, like you said, it's funny that he points out, when someone points out his deficiencies, like we talked about as far as the interceptions and everything, like he deflates. But it's kind of like, to me, I quote tweeted when Cameron Wolf, this is actually a tweet from Cameron Wolf, and I said he literally is saying he's saying the quiet part out loudly.
Mm-hmm.
You talk about players only meeting. You are the captain. You are the leader of this team. Regardless of how you are, your temperament or whatever, you are the quarterback of this football team. You have the football in your hand for this offense every consecutive play. And if every play, if it's 80 plays they play, 80 snaps, you get the ball pretty much on all of those, or you dictate the play calling of that. You dictate on the field of that. And like you said, and the fact, and I knew it was alarming when they had a players only meet, at the week 1 or week 2, they had a players only meet. And I'm just like, you don't necessarily have it that's bad when you have it that early in the season. Now I can kind of see if you're going through a crossroads, but that the first couple of weeks of the season. So, and then like you said, the guy Hamilton, the former guy from the Dolphins, said that he doesn't. He was late to the players only meeting. So guess what's going to happen? You're the leader. People pick up on habits of the leadership. So if you are late, I'm going to be late too. Because if I see you as a quarterback and I'm committed to you, and I see that you're here, let's say, for instance, we got a team meeting at 9:00, and you come in here past 9:00, I'm gonna do the same thing, because if you can get away with it, it's fair game. So, but if Tua comes in at 8:30, okay, I'm gonna come in at 8:35. I'm gonna be right behind Tua. Like I might have to hold it. I might hold the door in front of him because I got there first. I might be in the facility, Tua be behind me. I might open the door for him because he's the leader of this football team. And that's one thing where you can't talk about leadership. You are leadership. Like, granted, yes, Mike McDaniel is the coach, but it starts with you as well on the field. You are their leader. Like, so you can't just say, oh, is this mandatory or whatever. No, you dictate if it's mandatory or not. Your job is to be the buffer between the Mike McDaniel and the players. This is where I'm like, if something's going on, look, cut the shit. This is my locker room. If y'all got a problem with McDaniels or whatever, and you don't see this, you come to me. Right. I'm the leader of this football team. And it's sad because he's from the Nick Saban tree. Like, you gotta think to yourself, this man was coached by Nick Saban. That's why I'm so shocked that he had issues with Brian Flores, because Brian Flores is a cut from Bill Belichick, and we know Bill Belichick is cut from and Nick Saban is a cut from Bill Belichick. So that's why it's always perplexed me about this Tua Tagovailoa situation. Like, I just don't get it. And like you said, they said he was too tough on Tua, this, that, and the third. We had talked about that type of stuff. But I'm like, you come from Nick Saban. Like, Nick Saban is literally an asshole. Like, when it comes, not personally, but as far as from a coaching ring, he'll get in you. And like, he's somebody that he don't take no stuff. So I didn't think that the transition between him and Brian Flores was going to be like this situation where, he didn't like me, this, and the third. Like, you come from Nick Saban. Like,
wanted to do. He was trying to be a leader a specific way. Like I said, eventually it comes out. He seemed like a nice dude, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Weird. I'm a town. He reminds me of the 2-time Richmond
player of the year, Russell Wilson.
That's who he reminds me. You know what I mean? And like, behind the scenes, people are saying this, and that about Russ. And you like, damn, where'd that come from? You know what I'm saying? Allegedly, anyway. Yeah. And I think it's the same thing going on with Tua.
Yeah, but it's like I said, it starts with him. So to me, they question his ability on the field. Then they question his leadership, and he damn near not just threw Mike McDaniel under the bus, he threw himself under the bus, because yet again he's open and apparent. See, this is what happens, and he should be. And he's now, mind you, he's not a rookie. He's not like somebody who's just like not new to this media stuff and new to the addressing media. You put stuff out like that, you literally put a block of cheese and a bunch of rats just eat this cheese up. Like, this story is going to feed families for these Dolphin reporters. You gave them literally the keys to just create all different types of narratives. And like you said, it's going to backfire on him because, like you said, if he has another bad performance, players can rebel on you real quick. And like this thing, like you said, I thought Mike McDaniel's going to make it to Spain, to Madrid. I don't think so. I would not be surprised if we hear maybe 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from tonight, where we'll talk about Mike McDaniel's being fired because I don't think he's gonna make it to Madrid on November 16th. I just don't think that. My thought was he was gonna get fired midair on the way back to Miami. I don't think we're gonna see him. I think it's gonna get bad. Like, and I kind of thought this after the Tyreek Hill situation that it was going to kind of, I won't say get better, but you know how sometimes when you have that type of situation that's gone out of your locker room, it can kind of clear some stuff out. But we starting to see Tyreek ain't. He might be, if we doing slices of pie or pizza, he might take 4 slices of it. But damn, Tua looking like he bought 7, 8 slices of the problem. So
Coach, look, I looked up the Dolphins' remaining schedule. I'm just gonna read off the games they got coming up to the Madrid game against y'all. At Cleveland, at Atlanta.
Win. So I'm gonna do. All right. So Cleveland, I think they're gonna win against Cleveland.
I don't. And that defense, that Cleveland defense, Cleveland may be 1-5, but that Cleveland defense is top tier.
Right.
So
so that could be a 13-6 game, and they win. Dylan Gabriel, or like I got Darren Smith. I got Darren Smith. He called Dylan Gabriel Rudy. So
all right.
So Darren Smith, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So all right. So this Sunday they have, like I said, at Cleveland.
Win.
Next week they are at the Falcons.
Loss.
And then on a short week they play Thursday night against the Ravens at home.
Loss. Even with Cooper Rush.
And then they are at home against Buffalo.
Loss.
Then it's the Madrid game against your Commanders.
Yeah. Loss.
So you gave them the Cleveland game as a win?
And that's it. And like that's literally gonna probably be a like I said, first to 13 wins.
So if Mike McDaniel is still the coach when it comes after that Madrid game, and if they lose, they could be potentially sitting at 2-9.
So that Thursday, that would be October the 30th. So
yes.
All right, Halloween. He get fired Halloween. Who want to put some money on? We'll put a bill.
Even if they beat Cleveland,
because then they will lose 2 straight.
But I honestly I don't see them beating Cleveland because, like I said, they're going to Cleveland.
Yeah,
and you know how the Dolphins are in cold weather games. I'm assuming it's gonna be it's gonna be kind of cool because it's in Cleveland. So, like I said, I can see them actually losing 4 out of their next 5. The only win I'm going to give them is maybe Baltimore, but that's if Lamar isn't back by then.
Hell, I know they probably put up some points, but hell, even damn Cal Bowler can start for the damn Ravens and they can beat this Miami Dolphins team.
So yeah,
Tony Banks can walk through that building and beat them. Who else? Elvis Gerback can go back and beat this damn Dolphins team.
Yeah,
and the only reason why I say Halloween, because you'll have 10 days between that game, the Miami the Ravens game and then the Bills game.
Yeah.
So you got 10 days. So that's why I think he'll get fired Halloween or that week of Halloween. Like it may not be October 31st, but I can see him either getting fired between that Friday the 31st and what is Tuesday, November the 4th, I think. November the 4th is Tuesday. Yeah, November the 4th is Tuesday. So in that 4 to 5 day window, I can see them letting him go then. Because, but like you said, if they lose to Cleveland, that's their only hope.
Yeah.
I think he done. I think Tua's, like I said, I think the GM is back at Tua. Look, not even that. I was watching some. I went to a show and they're all in Miami, and all they kept doing was praising Tua and saying like Tua, we could have won this game. He did a great. It's the defense. The defense ain't standing like it's supposed to, and blah blah blah. And I was just like, I think it's some other stuff going on behind the scene, but. So I don't think they want Tua going anywhere in the city. You know what I mean? I think they're ready to just get a new guy in there.
Yep. So I say Halloween week. What y'all guys think?
I'm shocked he's still there.
I mean, yeah, all things considering. Because I figured they were going to try to fire him within like a bye week type of situation where even though we had just seen like what Tennessee did where they got rid of Callahan yesterday and they still got a game Sunday. So it's kind of because you still want to kind of give your coach somewhat of a,
I'm going to put it like this. I'm going to look closely at this Cleveland game, and if it looks like the team isn't playing hard as like playing for Tua,
mm-hmm.
I think that may be Mike McDaniel's last game.
So
because
you thinking next week?
Because you gotta look, like I said, he called out the leadership and he called out players. He didn't say any names, but people in that locker room know who he's talking about.
Right.
So now you got these guys that's supposed to follow you out on that field and go to battle for you and with you, looking at you with the side eye.
Right.
And if you lose, like a coach can lose a locker room, but if the quarterback loses the locker room, it's pretty much the same result. And like I said, it depends on the type of performance that Miami puts out on the field against Cleveland Sunday. Yeah. And if they do nothing, Mike McDaniel might be
gone next week.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if they lose to Cleveland and the way Cleveland been looking, like,
and then you had 1-6, and then honestly, if you had 1-6, you just sit like might as well just bench Tua.
Yeah, put in either Quinn Ewers or Zach Wilson.
And then in the offseason, you figure out the contract situation with Tua, and then may have to look elsewhere for a quarterback.
Dude, from what I saw today, he gonna stick with Tua for at least another 2 years.
Well, he might lose his job too.
Oh,
that's the main issue. That's
crazy.
Right.
So a guy who we think potentially could be fired as early as next week. So let's talk about another coaching fire, which was the most shocking of them all. If you really sit down and think about it, James Franklin. Let's talk about James Franklin and the Penn State Nittany Lions former head coach. So James Franklin was let go on a Sunday. Obviously, basically had lost 3 straight games. His team was coming into the regular season, I think like top 2 in the country. Became unranked. They had losses to Oregon at home. They went to UCLA and lost, and then lost to Northwestern at home on Saturday. So basically, James Franklin had 104 wins at Penn State. His overall record in his coaching tenure is 128 wins and 60 losses. Another thing that stood out with the situation at hand, James Franklin was 4-21 versus AP top 10 teams, and he had a combined record of 1-15 record against Michigan and Ohio State. And I think that only win was against Ohio State in 2016, if my memory is correct. 3 straight losses. We talked about it. And he has a very interesting buyout clause, which we'll also add to the story as well. So with the buyout, he's expected to get nearly $48 to $50 million in a lump sum within the next 6 years. So I think they average out to $8 million going to 2023 season. But there's more. When James Franklin signed his extension in 2021, there was some language in the contract that says if he was to get fired, that essentially he would have to actively seek employment either in coaching, scouting, or broadcasting, and he has to report that to Penn State in good faith. So in other words, almost like unemployment, where hey, you can get this money, but you got to show us that you have applied to jobs or you have been in good faith for sending it. So also, if he does get a job, basically what it is that the new salary that he would get would offset what Penn State owes. So give an example. If he goes to another school, so Penn State will owe him roughly about $8 million annually between now and the end of the 2031 season. So if he takes a job and he gets paid $7 million annually, Penn State would only be on the hook for $1 million. As an example. So if he gets $8 million annually, then obviously Penn State does have to recoup it. So pretty much it's going to offset that. So fellas, what you guys thoughts on James Franklin being fired? I'm going to go with you first, X. What you got?
It's, like you said, it's kind of surprising and shocking. James Franklin did have had them playing consistently at a top 15, top 20 level as far as being ranked. Although he struggled against the top tier, like the top 5, top 10 teams, and then also Ohio State, Michigan, and Oregon, teams like that. That's what the ADs. Those are the games the ADs want you to win. Are those games against Ohio State, against the Michigans, against the Oregons? Those are considered if we put them in tiers, that's like tier 1, like your tier 1 games you got to win. Because if you can't beat them, you're not winning a national championship. Because eventually, at some point, somewhere down the line, you're gonna run into Ohio State, you're gonna run into Michigan, you're gonna run into Oregon. So, and time after time, he lost those games. Other than you said 2016 against Ohio State, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
So yeah, and that like I said, those are the games that that your AD is looking at, and your alumni are looking at. Can you win those games? And then going to the language in the contract, I've never heard of that before until this day. I don't understand what possessed him to sign a contract like that. I don't know who in their right mind decided to even bring that contract to the table to let him see it, for him to sign it.
Yeah.
I know. What's the coach that got fired from? Was it Texas A&M? No. Yeah. Was it
You told Jimbo Fisher.
Jimbo.
Jimbo
Yeah.
Fisher. Yeah.
Yeah. Like you hear Jimbo Fisher getting fired and his buyout, you didn't.
Mhm.
His buyout was what?
70
70?
something. Yeah, it was in the 70s.
And there's nothing in his contract saying that he had to be actively looking for a job.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure I'm just on it because I just heard about this today. I'm pretty sure he's not gonna lose his job no time soon. Kirby Smart has a buyout of over 100 million, and he doesn't have that language in his contract where he has to be actively searching for a job. So I mean, I just don't get it. Maybe James Franklin knew something we didn't know. Maybe he took it believing that he'll never get fired from Penn State.
And that's what I was thinking too, considering the fact of the mess that he inherited.
Yeah, but
So
I understand it, but you still
yeah,
you can't as a head coach, you can't just think that you're gonna get a lifetime contract.
yeah,
That doesn't happen a lot. If it even happens at all. I mean, you got coaches that that won't get fired. Only way they'll get fired is if they decide to retire on their own or take another position or anything like that. So, and I never looked at James Franklin as one of those coaches. For one, you didn't bring a national title to Penn State in your tenure. Like I said, you struggled against the top teams in the Big Ten. You struggled against the top 5, top 10 teams ranked in college football. So, yeah,
crazy.
In my opinion, I would have never signed a contract like that. I mean, I don't know if they was like, I don't know if he didn't sign it, if negotiations would have stalled or anything like that. Like I said, I don't know. I don't understand his thinking on that part as far as signing a contract like that.
Yeah, yeah. Oof. But yeah, what you got, Maui?
I didn't know anything about the contract, but the information I got, he's 12-25 against the top 25 teams. He's 3-17. Excuse me. He's 3-17 against the top 10 teams, and the information. And he lost back-to-back games when they was a 20-point favorite, and I saw something today that said that he went to them and said, "This is what we need to do. We need to spend some money to get some top players, and we need to go get this defensive coordinator from Ohio State with 37 years of coaching experience, and he's the highest paid defensive coordinator in college football." So if you're looking at the record, they must have been like, yeah, we need to go ahead and let this go. And then it's not even that. Like, my cousin's a Penn State fan, and that's all he's been saying. It's like he lost the fans, and they said he lost the locker room and he lost the fans. And they was like, and they said, I'm not a college football, maybe y'all can help me. But they was like, once you lose the fans, it is what it is. You know what I mean? So I'm not shocked. Like I said, my cousin every week has been calling for him to be fired. Even if they win, he was like, man, this is you know what I'm saying? This is an illusion, man. He needs to go. So I from what he was saying, I'm not shocked, I guess. You know what I mean? But I see that he was getting paid well. It seemed like they tried to back him so he could be successful, but he's 3-17 against top 10 teams, and hey.
Yeah, I think the thing is it was just a downward spiral of it, because just the simple fact of, if you would have said 3 weeks ago when they were, the whiteout against Oregon, that he wouldn't have been on this team as the head coach. I like, okay, is something wrong with him? Like as far as a physical ailment, like he's unable to coach, something's going on. I would have never thought in a million years that he would have got fired in this kind of way. I mean, considering the fact coming off of last year, going to the college football playoff and actually making a somewhat decent run, obviously fell short in the semifinals against Ohio State. And obviously they lost a team that went on to win the national championship. So it's, it's one of the things where, hey, you didn't lose to like a SMU, or a team that would have got bounced out, even though they beat SMU. But just as an example, where you lost in the first round, but you lost to the eventual national champions. And, I definitely thought they would have gave him maybe to the end of the year. Because I was really curious, especially now, you would have had Ohio State in 2 weeks. I think Indiana is after them too. So you'd had 2 back-to-back top 10 teams playing them. So I was really curious how that was all going to play out. I was shocked, but then once I heard the language of that contract, it kind of now all makes sense, because if you have a situation like that where, because they're probably more than likely aren't going to have to pay him next to nothing, because I guarantee you he's going to go somewhere and going to get probably $8 or $9 million contract. Like, so it's a team that I think that's going to be into play, and I'll talk about that momentarily. But in my personal opinion, once I start seeing like this contract, it's like, okay, now this all makes sense, because now they just want to expedite the process, because they know who's going to be their next head coach. Right. This is why they did this. I think they kind of did some digging already. There might be some tampering, so I'm not going to quote unquote give them that type of put them in that context, but they know something. Like they're in the bushes, and some in Bloomington, Indiana, Lincoln, Nebraska. Wink, wink. I don't know, but I mean, there's some situation where they might be lurking in the bushes somewhere, either in those 2 neighboring towns, and maybe scooping somebody up. The first week of December potentially. But so I don't think they have their coach in place. Why you would do it this early? Because I think so you can kind of expedite the process. Because if you want to keep James Franklin, and if they make a bowl game, you don't, you want to get the ball moving, because you're not going to go to the Big Ten championship. So that's the first week of December. You want to have that coach in town, almost like a Lincoln Riley style type of hire when he went from Oklahoma to USC. So if someone from Bloomington, Indiana come out the bushes, then all of a sudden you see him him may not make the national championship, not make the college football playoff. You might see him on a plane to State College, Pennsylvania. You might see somebody in Lincoln, Nebraska. Wink, wink. Fresh off after the week after Thanksgiving, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, there's a private jet going to State College, Pennsylvania. Oh, okay. So this was going to happen. So I think ultimately what's going to happen. But for James Franklin, because I think it would be where he should go, and I hope this happens. I hope he goes to Virginia Tech. He will save their program. He is a master recruiter. You see all those guys who decommitted like in the last like 72 hours? It's crazy. I feel like all of the class 2026 have decommitted. It feels like that. I don't know all of it, but it's so many guys that decommitted. I think we had a guy in the Richmond area who decommitted from Penn State. I think the number 1 running back in the class 2026, he decommitted. He can recruit, and like here, he would do wonders, because obviously you think of like Tyler Warren, obviously from Mechanicsville, now with the Indianapolis Colts, he recruited him, so he got the DMV area, this area in Richmond, Virginia, that's so rich in talent. Like we talk about it all the time. This is the golden age of high school football in the 804, where you have tons of talent in this area. And I definitely think that James Franklin can come to any house in the 804 and take them kids to Blackbird. And because we always say it's good that these kids are leaving the state, but it's still kind of like, man, we kind of yearn for those days when those kids stayed in the state and played. But I don't blame them, because now with the NIL and the transport, all that type of stuff, it's Atlanta milk and honey. So you go and get yours. So forget about, leaving Big Mama in Richmond and you got to go to Charlottesville, or leaving Big Mama, but I want to go to Blacksburg. No, it is what it is at this point. And I definitely think James Franklin has a great footprint in this area for sure. So I definitely think he should go to Virginia Tech. And I think if he does go to Virginia Tech, now that's going to be interesting, because now how that contract will be. And then now you have that type of language in contracts. I know ADs are sitting at the table like, ooh, we can do this. Can we get away with this? Because if you have similar contracts to what James Franklin signed, oh, you think guys gonna be fired before Thanksgiving? They're gonna be fired before Indigenous Peoples Day. They're gonna be before the first day of spring. I mean, first day of fall. Like, guys gonna get fired in September. You think about it, like you really opened up a can of worms with this contract. Like, this is, when I read that, I was like shocked. Like, are you serious? Like, that's why they did it, because like you said, most people ain't gonna cough up no 50, 60 something $1 million, especially now in this era, right? Crazy, but man. Ooh, this is a what have you done for me lately business for sure. Like,
oh yeah, what they say, update your resume.
Update your resume. Sharpen up that LinkedIn. Optimize that LinkedIn, because and now Virginia Tech kind of coming into some money. I know they had talked about like they increased their athletic budget, so I think you wouldn't miss a beat. Obviously, with because I always thought Coach Pride and his staff had a great footprint in Richmond, but I think James Franklin can have just the same impact as Brett Pride did in this area.
Why were they losing?
You said why they losing who?
Why were they losing? Why was Penn State losing?
I mean, out honestly, the Oregon kind of was expected. The UCLA was kind of a head scratcher. Obviously, like we talked about it last week with the whole situation with them, coach being fired, and we talked about the Newhouse, the offensive coordinator, didn't even know how to use a headset, basically. And they won. And then Northwestern, and then another thing too, where then Aller is out, their quarterback is out for the year.
Okay.
So I mean, if I want to, I mean, I really no conceivable way, because they were all in those games, and that's the crazy thing about it, because obviously there was an overtime game against Oregon. They lost to UCLA by 4, and then they lost to Northwestern by a point. So, I mean, that's the difference, and it's crazy. You think, okay, so you lost, but lost Oregon by like 6. I think it was 6. I think
it was a close. I think it was a one-score game.
I think it was because it went overtime. So, okay, so probably in less than 15 points got him fired, essentially, because these were close games. So.
Yeah. And but you gotta beat those top teams, and especially in your conference, you have
for
to.
Sure.
He's 0-3.
Yeah, but and plus they kind of did him a favor, honestly, especially now with Aller being out. This team was going to implode anyway, so it's just like it's. And like I said, they just knew. They probably just say, "Hey, let's just cut bait with him and get this process going," because. Yes, we want to give you a nice little swan song, but we're going to delay our progression. Like I said, don't be surprised if you in these what's that tarmacs, but more so of you're looking at these flight plans. All of a sudden, you're seeing a plane in your neighborhood going to say College, Pennsylvania. your coach gone. So Bloomington, Indiana, Lincoln, Nebraska. I'm just giving you a forewarning.
You got me Googling what the hell he's talking.
Oh, well, okay. I said it out loud. I kind of didn't want to be tongue-in-cheek about it. Either Kirk Cinetti or Matt Rule. That's it. So if you...
Right.
I'm telling you, we sit here with 2 months from today, wrapping up this year, do not be surprised that either of them two guys have gone on a flight to State College, Pennsylvania, and been introduced as the new head coach of Penn State.
I feel like Indiana gonna do everything in their power to keep him there.
Right, and I hope he stays there because the expectations. But I will give him credit because I didn't want him to go to Indiana because I wanted him to stay at JMU because I figured, hey, build that program, especially now they're going to Conference USA. He's gonna build this team up and they're gonna be better than really no expectation. Like, because he is hit kind of like the sweet spot at JMU. Like, he literally, like, he could have been like the Nick Saban of JMU. Like, he'll have a statue in front of in front of the stadium. The JMU undergraduate kids going to name their kid Kirk or Signetti as their children. But I figured, like, oh, he'll go to Indiana. He's going to be buried in the Big Ten. But much to my chagrin, no. Like, they made it to the college football playoff. Indiana, and we ain't talking about basketball. Indiana football made it to the college football playoff.
Yeah, like I said, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, if he can pull off the unthinkable and just get to the national championship game, I don't even think he has to win it. If he can just get there,
right?
It says a lot.
But yeah, and of course he's going to be that because you think to yourself, if he's doing this at Indiana, and I'm even surprised at what he's doing in Indiana. Because I figured, because a lot of people's like, obviously, because it's Indiana football. I mean, who are the only people that you really think about in Indiana football? Antoine Randall L., Michael Penix Jr. I mean, it's really, they don't really have a lineage of football success at Indiana.
But like you say, he's building something,
right? And
he's turned Mendoza into he's turning. I remember I saw Mendoza play one game last season. That was Wake versus Cal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he balling. He had a hell of a game.
Yeah,
he balling.
He may be playing himself into a early draft pick.
He'll be playing on Sundays.
Oh, he definitely will be playing
on Sundays. Sure.
He has the bill as your typical. If you're looking for a quarterback that's big arm and can move, like get out the pocket,
yeah,
Mendoza's your guy
for sure. But yeah, so don't be surprised if that happens for sure. But yeah, man. So let's wrap up this week's show, guys. We'll do our game ball first. Who'll get this week's game ball for you? I'm gonna go with you first. X, what you got? Who your game ball?
Brian Branch. No, I'm just playing. I'm just playing.
Hey, why not?
Nah. I'm just playing. No, real talk. My game ball goes to Asia Wilson and the Las Vegas Aces. Three championships in 4 years. Completed the dynasty, and in a time where people thought, especially the way the season started off in Vegas, and the way they finished the season, to top it off with Asia winning her 4th MVP, and then winning the WNBA championship. My hat's off to Asia Wilson. Coach Hammond, and the Las Vegas Aces.
Yeah. All right, we got Maui.
Got two. The first one, I'm gonna give it to the Broncos defense, leading the league with 30 sacks. My second one I'm giving, I hope I don't mess his name, Bajan Robinson. Bajan. BJ
BJ Robinson. BJ
Bam
Robinson. Yeah, I think
for
it's
his career game, 19 attempts. Career game, offense 238 yards altogether. That's 170-yard passing. Receiving. I'm sorry, 6 receptions for 8 yards, rushing for 170 yards, average 8.9 a carry, 1 TD in 19 attempts. So he gets my BJ Robinson gets my game ball.
Yeah. Gotta give mine. I kind of tipped mine off a little early, but I gotta give it to Coach Craig Signetti, Indiana football head coach. Great win over Oregon, 30-20. By far, they're probably their biggest win in school history.
Right.
And like we talk about Indiana, we are not talking about Indiana basketball. We talk about Indiana football.
Yeah.
Like Indiana football, and you don't think that the Nittany want to scoop him up and try to get him a little private jet to come to State College, Pennsylvania, man? But I think it's probably gonna end up being Matt Rule, probably more than likely. But yeah, because Kirsten Nettie gonna have a deep run in the college football playoff. Like I definitely think he's on the collision course, speaking of the college football playoffs. And
Who did
in
the NFL? Wasn't it? Was it the Panthers?
Who?
Matt Rule. Didn't he coach somebody in
Yeah, the Panthers. Yeah, the Panthers. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
His contract probably just because I think when they let him go, they had gave him an extension or something like that, and I think he had some years left.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but I definitely think he would probably be the homer pick if as far as his relation with Penn State and everything. But yeah, for sure. So round out this week's Couch Coach Live. Any final thoughts? Social media, anything that you got going on? I'm gonna go with you first, X. What you got?
Saturday got the UVA Washington State game. Social media is my IG is Game On Media _X. My Twitter /X is X_J_SR.
All right. What you got, Maui?
On social media, the Sean Morgan Facebook, DT Morgan 78 Instagram. Great show, guys. I want to send. I got 2 Central Virginia. Kind of like, I guess you could say, legends or has passed away in the last probably like month. The first one was Rudy Johnson. I just want to send love to all my friends because I went to Matoka. I never met him before, but I got all my generation, all my buddies. I got a call from Skinny Black, a legend to Couch Coach Live at one time. He called me and checked up on me, and he told me a lot of great things about Rudy Johnson. Really, really good guy. Really did a lot for the community of Ettrick. And those guys, and they had a little barbecue for him. I just want to send. Y'all understand, like, this is really close to me too, but I never met him, so I just really want to send love to them. It took me a minute to actually, because I wanted to do it like last show, but I was like, I just felt our chemistry was there. But I also want to send love and strength and power to them, and definitely to D'Angelo's family that just passed away today. A Chesterfield native. Legend in R&B. Everybody somewhat know who he is. He passed away from I think he was battling pancreas cancer. I just want to send that out. It kind of hit me out the blue. But yeah, appreciate y'all.
Yeah, man. And we talked about the Rudy Johnson situation. Yeah, that was a shock. Yeah. Like I remember when they I forgot, somebody tweeted out, and I was like, man, I had to look. And even with D'Angelo today, I like, that's when you hear those two people in past tense, you're like, I gotta make sure that this is a viable source who's saying this, because it was
right.
Yeah, for sure. It was, that's tough news to hear about that, for sure. Yep. But and also, man, so you going up to Charlottesville? Dang, man.
Yeah.
I thought you're gonna be up in the West End this weekend with me, man.
I will be back I'll be back in Richmond, I think November 1st.
Yeah, after the bye week. Yeah, I guess. Who we play? I think is it Fordham? I think it's the Fordham.
I think it is Fordham.
So it's Fordham. Yeah. So same. I'll you be in Charlottesville. I'll be on the western part of town. So might do a little double duty. So I might do the because the women's got a scrimmage at 11 a.m. and then the game is at 2. So probably do a double dip. Why not?
Oh yeah.
2 sporting events in one place. Why not? You might as well, but it is what it is. Right. So website, Facebook website, couchcoachlive.com, Twitter, Instagram, all that, Couch Coach Live. Pretty much Couch Coach Live anywhere, social media, podcasts as well, Apple, Spotify, iHeart, everywhere. YouTube, Couch Coach Live as well. So we got some exclusive some VCU content coming up on the YouTube page as well. That'll be coming up shortly. We also had some content on there as well too. Some stuff from the Black and Gold game from last Saturday. So we got a few stuff, some interviews we did at that game as well. So just definitely check us out on our social media networks to some our other content that we got. So so this wraps up episode 368, and we'll catch you guys next Tuesday night under the lights again, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. And we're out.
You're welcome.